Erica Grohaski from over here at the Wando Mount Pleasant branch, and I am joined today with two wonderful co-hosts for Bon Appetit. This guy right here, this is Winston. I know him as Mason because he was one of my very first foster dogs, and since he has been adopted and has been renamed Winston, so if you hear me call him Mason, you'll understand why. I do give him a bit of a split personality disorder, I think, sometimes. This other fellow right here happens to be my husband, Thaddeus. He joins me in our adventures in dog fostering. So we wanted to bring Mason in today because our episode today is actually frozen frosty treats and talking about foster fails. A lot of you sent me questions about how do you let go of a foster once you get them. Obviously, this good-looking guy right here was really hard to let go of, but we were able to get him into a really great home. So Mason's story started in a high kill shelter in Orangeburg. He was very emaciated. He unfortunately wasn't in the best of shape, but from the very beginning he was just as sweet as can be. We were able to get him pulled just in time, and he came to stay with us for rehabilitation in his foster home. The thing about Winston, why we're doing frosty treats, I probably can't get him to show you right now, but we will show you a picture. Winston has no teeth in the front of his mouth. They don't know what happened, but they assume he just chewed them down over time. So he tends to stick to softer foods. So the frosty paws are a great thing for Winston because they actually melt down fast as he's eating them, so he's able to enjoy them without having too much trouble with eating them himself. So before I get started, as you can see, foster dogs will give you all the love you could ever want. So I'm going to answer some of your questions real fast that you guys sent in. The first question is, what is a foster fail? Mason, or Winston, is not a foster fail. A foster fail is when you get a foster and you start taking care of them and all of a sudden you realize there's no way you're ever going to be able to let this dog go. He's going to be a permanent member of your family. Thankfully to date, I've only had one foster fail, and you've already met him. That's Ellis. He is our one and only dog at home. He was a very hard foster fail. So the question that went with that is, how do you keep from getting attached? Obviously, this cute face is really hard to not want to keep and look at every day. But the whole point of fostering that we've talked about is to make sure these dogs continuously come out of these high kill shelters and get into new homes. So really in your mindset, even though you're getting really attached to them because you're seeing them grow and thrive, is the fact that they're going to a really good home. Unoya Rescue, the rescue I work for, make sure that they do a thorough evaluation of anyone who applies to take in one of your dogs. So you know that they are going to a really great home where they're going to get just as much love as if they were staying with you. The big thing is that the hard part is the emotional toll. The next question is, how do you handle the emotional toll of when a foster period is done? You just have to keep reminding yourself that this dog is not only going to a really great home, just like you would have given them, but by giving them to a new adoption family, you are able to take another dog in. We've at this point, I think, fostered about 15 dogs now. And a lot of them have been pit bulls, dogs like Mason, dogs that normally wouldn't be picked up by a family in a shelter because they're thinking, wow, this dog is great for a family. But it enables them to constantly keep coming out of those high kill shelters and getting into families. Otherwise, they would have been put to sleep. So the next question is, what happens if you do want to keep the dog or cat? So if you decide that you want to keep your foster, you do just contact the company and let them know, hey, this is a dog that I really want to keep and love and have part of my family. Winston, you're too tall for me. In which case, you'll actually start the adoption process yourself. Depending on the foster group you work for, some of them will just give them over to you. There is still usually a fee associated because they do have a lot of medical problems. Like Mason here was not only emaciated, but he had heartworm, and heartworm is very expensive to treat. So they asked for that money to keep going for the next dog after them. And then what happens if the dog or cat is adopted by someone else? So this actually did happen to me. I had fallen in love with a dog, and I was going back and forth about keeping her, and somebody else had applied to keep her in the meantime. And honestly, at that point, I just had to concede and say, okay, she's going to a good home. They were already ahead of me. I can't just bump the line and say, well, this is my foster dog and I'm going to keep them. It just doesn't work that way. So we want to make sure that everything is fair and done well. And then, like Winston / Mason here, you go on to a really great family either way. So that's a little bit about Mason and some great questions on foster fails and what happens when you get to that point where you have to say goodbye to your foster. Winston has finally figured out what he wants to do here, so I'm going to cut and move on to our recipe for today. We are actually going to be making Frosty Paws, which is basically doggy ice cream. You can buy them in the stores, but they are a little bit expensive. So this way I can show you how to make them at home for way cheaper, and you know exactly what ingredients are going into your dog. We're going to be making our Frosty ice cream doggy delight. The ingredients in this are super simple. You can buy them at any grocery store. So we start with organic, low-fat yogurt, plain. All of the ingredients that you use, again, should be organic or natural. Again, you want to give your dog the best food possible. All of the recipes are pretty much human grade, so if I wanted to, I could eat any of these afterwards if my dog doesn't eat them all before me. But so again, you want to use the organic, plain, low-fat yogurt. We have, so there's yogurt, and then we have creamy peanut butter. Again, it's organic. You can buy this anywhere. And then you're gonna need 2 to 3 very ripe bananas. As you can see, I've been ripening these for a couple of days, so they're good and soft. And then this I actually added. My dog is a big fan of bacon. So I cooked a little bit of bacon, and we can go ahead and use that for a topping for our ice cream. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The things you're gonna need are a NutriBullet, like I have here, or you can use a blender, it doesn't matter. Or if you actually microwave the peanut butter, you can do it by hand if you have to. I do suggest using a NutriBullet or a blender, it's just so much more efficient. You're gonna need a 1 cup measuring cup, a spoon, and something to clean up because it can get a little messy. So the recipe we're making today is called Frosty Paws, and it is from the Healthy Hound cookbook. You can get this here at CCPL through our catalog. It is, as you can see, I have many pages delineated to come back to because there are some really great recipes in here. We've made them on other episodes of Bon Appetit, so if you can get your hands on this, it's a really great book to look through and see what you think you can make for your pup. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first, you're going to need 3 cups of your organic yogurt here. I'm not big on measuring real close, so please forgive me. It's a lot of yogurt. So there's 1. There's 2. So there's our 3 cups of yogurt. And now we want to add in our creamy natural peanut butter. Now with the creamy peanut butter that's natural or organic, you are gonna have this layer of oil on top, which is the way it is supposed to be. So you wanna actually just go ahead and mix that up if it's a brand new jar. That way it's not just pure oil going into your dog's treat. And once you got that mixed up, you're gonna go ahead and take your 1 cup, and you're gonna need only a half a cup of the creamy peanut butter. Which, again, I'm a little lax with my measuring because I figure, again, these are all human grade ingredients. So if my dog gets a little extra peanut butter in his Frosty Paws, he will not be sad about it, okay? So we go ahead and put in our peanut butter. And then once we have our peanut butter, we're gonna go ahead and put in our 2 very ripe bananas. as you can see, they are really, really ripe. They just break off into pieces. And you can always make a smaller batch. You can do a half a batch, or you can do a double batch and make many, many more, depending on if you're a one dog household or a many dog household. Totally up to you. Now that we have all 3 ingredients in there, and then this is going to be a little loud, we're going to go ahead and blend this all together until it looks pretty uniform. Okay, so that looks pretty good right there. You want to make sure it's all blended. So we have these right here. These are just snack cups with lid. I got these from Walmart. These are rather large, as you can see. These would be good if you had a larger pup. If you have a smaller dog, like a Chihuahua or a Shih Tzu, Pomeranian, with smaller mouths, you can actually use an ice cube tray. That's a really great way of going about making more with a smaller amount. However, as you saw with Winston, he is quite a big guy, so one of these is just about right for him. Also, you can purchase on Amazon or any other shopping site. They make silicone molds of paw prints and bones. So you can buy those and use those. I think they're adorable. I have a set at home, but for simplicity's sake, I just stuck with the plastic containers. So we have our containers here. We have our delicious ice cream. So you're just gonna go ahead and pour them into each of these little cups here. So again, a full batch of these would make probably about 9 of these, I would imagine. So that's what we're gonna go with today. Again, you can make a bigger batch or a smaller batch. You just have to change around the percentage of ingredients. But so we have our frosty ice cream here, and then for my dog who's super spoiled, he loves bacon. So I always cook a little bit of bacon and then I crumble it. And all you do is put it on the top of the cups like this, and it becomes like sprinkles, just like you would on a human ice cream cone. This is probably his favorite part, I'm not gonna lie. He loves the ice cream, but the bacon topping really does it for him. All right, so that's it. So now you're gonna wanna take a regular old sheet pan and place them on there, and then you're gonna put them in the freezer. You wanna try and leave them in the freezer for more than a few hours. I left mine in overnight just to make sure that they were good and frozen for today. And then once they are frozen, you can just take them out of the molds if you want and put them in a storage bag in the freezer, or you can leave them in the molds, which I tend to do because it makes it easier for me to store them individually, because all of these snack cups tend to come with these nice little lids. All right, guys, so by the magic of kitchen, we were able to go ahead and bring out the finished product. So what I have here are the frozen Frosty Paws that we made. You can see that they are pretty well frozen, and these are even after I've taken them out to let them sit for a little bit after they've been out overnight. So Mr. Mason, as you can see, is very excited to try our new recipe. Thaddeus has his Frosty Paw right here. Actually, you know what? Oh, okay, I was gonna say, so we'll just hold it, maybe. So as you can see, Mr. Mason really, really, really enjoys his Frosty Paws. My best tip for you is obviously you want to give these to him outside. Otherwise, your hand or your floor is going to look like mine. So, thanks again, guys, for joining me for Bon Appetit. Signing off for me and Mason and Mr. Thaddeus over there. Please join us again soon for when we have some more foster questions and a new recipe for you and your dog.